think most people in America now recognize it was a mistake going in. And I think most people would like our troops home. And the question then becomes, how do we do it? I firmly believe that bringing our troops home in a careful way and methodical way will actually make us safer. So it's good for our national security. I don't want to withdraw from Iraq just because it's resulting in thousands of US deaths, although that's a good reason. Not just because of the enormous strain it's placing on military families. Not just because we're spending $10 billion a month that could be spent rebuilding our infrastructure, but also because it hasn't worked at making us safer. It has distracted us from Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, which is where we should have been focused in the first place. Every national intelligence estimate says that we have seen Al-Qaeda reconstitute itself. They are stronger now than at any time since 2001. We don't have the resources to do what we need to do in Afghanistan. It's actually harder for us to get NATO allies to put troops into Afghanistan because they're still frustrated about what's happening in Iraq. It has become a sore point among even our allies in the region. It's harder for allies to cooperate with us because it's perceived that we've got an occupation in an Arab country. So all around this has been a bad idea. What I've said is we will set a timetable of 1 to 2 brigades per month being withdrawn. At that pace, it'll take about 16 months to get our combat troops out. We'll still have troops there to protect the embassy, protect humanitarian workers, and a strike force to be able to go after Al-Qaeda if it reconstitutes itself. But keep in mind, 16 months from the time I take office, that's 2 years from now. We've already been there 5 years. If we can't get the Iraqi government to stand up after 7 years, we're not going to get them to stand up after 14 years. Or 21 years. Or 28 years. We don't want to just, at some point you've got to say, all right, we've gotten rid of Saddam Hussein, we've put billions of dollars into this, we've trained your army, we've trained your police force, you've got to take responsibility, and that largely revolves around negotiating for political settlement between the Shia, the Sunni, and the Kurds. And we will actively pursue diplomacy, but what's happening is without a timetable, they don't feel like they've got to compromise at all because their attitude is, well, if anything happens, the U.S. is there to back us up. They've got to take more responsibility, so that's on Iraq. Now, part of these two things are connected. Our problem with infrastructure has to do with the fact that we've so far spent over $600 billion in Iraq. By the time this thing is all over, we will spend well over $1 trillion. Imagine if we had used $1 trillion to rebuild our infrastructure here in the United States and to invest in our manufacturing capacity to help U.S. automakers and manufacturers retool, to put money into research and development on everything from biotech